Peter King said to Matt Mayoko on his podcast on NBC Sports Bay Area, this transcription comes from Niners Nation.
We know those two guys.
I would be surprised if Trey Lance in 2022 isn't as good or better than Garoppolo was in 2021, said Peter King. I'll repeat it. I will be surprised if Trey Lance in 2022 isn't as good or better than Garoppolo was in 2021. Having said that, I think that Garoppolo was better than he will ultimately get credit for. So for reference, last year, just by the numbers, and so much of this is more than just the box score, Garoppolo was a 68% passer. He threw 20 touchdowns. He threw 12 interceptions. Okay, those are just the basics. So 68%, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks. Trey was 58%, 5 touchdowns, and 2 picks in his he appeared in 6 games, but
yeah, I mean, I would imagine, obviously, Jimmy missed two games, right? 2.5, so he only started 15. If Trey Lance starts 17 games, that pick number will probably be 12 to 15 range. I think the pick, wouldn't you?
I mean, John, if you told me, 12 feels like a major win. And I'm not even being critical. I'm just saying, if you told me 12 right now, if you told me what's the highest number I could tell you Trey Lance interceptions that right now you would take it? You go, take it.
How many Stafford throw this year?
17, I think.
Yeah. The thing he balanced it out with was 41 touchdowns. So it's like, it's one of those, Trayvon Diggs give up a lot of yards. Well, yeah, he had 11 interceptions. So he gave his offense 11 more possessions. Stafford was like, yeah, I threw 17 picks. I was more than a 2-to-1 ratio for my touchdowns. So it's because on the flip side, I'd go, if you would take right now, Trey throws 30 touchdowns. You'd be like, take it, right? But 30-16 is, it's good.
If I told you 30 and 13, would you take that?
In a fucking New York minute.
Right. So the number probably then feels like it's closer to what, 23 and 12?
But that's where Jimmy Garoppolo's not throwing many touchdowns. I do think it's fair to say that number, the interceptions are going to be high. It easily could be 15, 16. I do think it's fair to say that touchdown could be 30. I mean, he threw 5 touchdowns in his limited playing time. And it was just explode. Like, he will push the ball down the field.
Right.
And one thing's clear is Kyle will call balls to go down the field with him. He did in the preseason. And here's the other element, I guess, that Trey brings that Jimmy doesn't. Could he give you 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns just as a goal line option? I don't think he'll be like a 10-touchdown guy, but I think 5 max, somewhere 2 to 3, low end.
I mean, Jimmy gave you 3 this year, by the way, career high. I do think you just nailed something, though. Not all touchdowns are created equal. Like a 48-yard touchdown throw where the ball travels 40 yards is different than a touchdown throw on 2nd and goal from the 3. Right?
Yeah.
And we checked the box score. Like, Jimmy had a lot of big throws. Yak. But I think, like, if you give me a touchdown throw on 3rd and 3, that's a 40-yard touchdown throw, or a 1st and 10 after a change of possession, that's a 40-yard throw over the top. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you can throw 20 touchdowns, and if you have some of those, that's, in some ways, you're a more dangerous passer than a guy that has 28, but only gets his touchdowns closer to the goal line.
8 touchdowns is a lot more.
Understood, but what I'm saying is those goal line touchdowns can be made up for in the run game.
20 touchdowns to me is pretty shitty.
Pick whatever number you want. It's not about what number I'm picking. My point is just the numbers are not all equal. If you can score a touchdown from far away,
yeah.
It's like hitting a home run. Like
Stafford, Mahomes, Allen, all those guys.
Yeah, you could score 100 runs. I could score 100 runs. But if 40 of your runs that you scored as a baseball player came on the home runs you hit, and 40 of my runs came just from being on base when you hit the home run, did we score the same? Our runs did not come from the same thing.
I agree. Because part of the 49ers offense was predicated, unless Debo took a screen or a run to the house, on long drives. So it is part of, like, Andy would be like, yeah, we can have long drives. We can also have 3-play touchdown drives. Josh Allen would be like, yeah, we can have a 10-play drive. We can also have 4 plays and score a fucking touchdown from the 45-yard line. And the Niners did not have that in the bag unless 19 pulled plays out of his ass, or they called it trick play, right? That's the element. But part of it, then on the flip side, is like, well, is Trey against good teams early on in his career just going to be consistently able to lead long drives? And that's where Kyle and the coaching staff come in with the running game. That's where the Niners are uniquely equipped. Like, to me, the difference with Stafford throwing the 41 touchdowns, I bet McVay would tell you, well, in a perfect world, Cam Akers healthy. We'd like to be more consistent running the ball. We were constantly throwing because we were not a good rushing team, right? It does help when you can run the ball. It's why the Packers were so elite during the regular season, is because they could run the ball, and Aaron was so potent, and they didn't turn the ball over. Like that's the highest end of an offense. But realistically, you just want to have a running threat, and Kyle will always have more than a running threat. He wants to run the ball, but then also have explosive play potential.
Yes,
throwing, not on screens, because it felt like the Niners' explosive plays were on screen passes.
We all love a good 15-play drive, but sometimes you need to score in 4 plays, right? You don't want every play to have to be the Princeton offense. That's what I keep saying. Like it had to be 7 back cuts and a perfect bounce pass through 3 defenders. It's like sometimes you just want to hit somebody over the head with a dunk because some dude went one-on-one and took the ball right down the lane, right? And that's what a quarterback who's dynamic can do. Sabrina on the stream says, Kyle Shanahan got Mullins 4,500 yards, which is 11th all-time in 49ers passing history. He's now a practice squad QB. Trey will be fine. He did get 4,500 yards and is 2 years. It's split among 2 years. It wasn't a 1 year. He also was 25 touchdowns and 22 picks.
Who was this?
We're talking about Nick Mullins, John.
Yeah.
Nick Mullins. But I think the point is fair, and it's why I said last year going into the year, if all the rookies play, Trey will have the best year because he's playing for Kyle Shanahan. And I still believe that Kyle Shanahan gives him the best chance to succeed.
I agree.
And to be better than Jimmy. Like, what does that mean? It's like the Stafford Hall of Fame debate. We can all have different rules for Stafford for what makes a Hall of Famer. That's why Hall of Fame debates are go on for a long time, is because there's no set number of rules. I think this makes him a Hall of Famer. I think this makes him a Hall of Famer. So, what makes him quote unquote better than Jimmy Garoppolo? Does he have to be a 68% passer to be better than Jimmy? Not necessarily. Does he make the offense more explosive? Part of it is you'll know it when you see it. Right.
Well, you would take.
He's got to be healthy, though. Number one, John, he's got to be healthy.
You would take 63% and 32 touchdowns, right?
I mean, what?
Yeah, to me, the numbers, I'm about 30. Like I think that's what they're shooting for.
So Josh Allen's first year as a starter, and this is not a great comparison because Josh started, he started a bunch of games,
and Diggs wasn't there. Remember, their passing game was not.
But he was 20 touchdowns, 9 picks, 59%. Like, I think 63 would even be pretty fantastic.
Here's my problem with that comp, though, is he was probably worse at the same time than what we just saw of Trey, and the Niners team is way better than that team offensively.
Understood.
They have so
Bills
he did that
10 and 6.
But he threw 20 touchdowns with, who are his wide receivers? The Niners have Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle right on. He didn't get Knox was young. They hadn't got Diggs yet. They signed Cole Beasley, I think, the following year or 2 years later. Like they reloaded, or they didn't reload. They
John
loaded.
Brown was his leading receiver.
So that to me, that actually looking back is like we should have seen this coming.
How did they go 10 and 6 with that team?
Because the defense was good.
The defense was good. Yeah. Yeah.
But don't you think looking back, it's like God, Josh was doing a lot with a little, and he didn't even know what he was doing really yet.
Yeah, I mean, it was 20 touchdowns and 9 picks was that's pretty impressive for a young quarterback. Time. Just the ratio.
Yeah.
So
division's kind of. I bet the Jets sucked. The Dolphins probably sucked more than they've been the last couple of years. Patriots were good. It's weird. That division's bizarre. It's a weird place. Jets just perpetually suck.